I lost my left eye when I was only 7. The way it happened was pretty ridiculous, honestly. Luckily, most people never ask how it happened, probably afraid it might come off as rude. I'm glad, because it's not a story I enjoy sharing. Not because it's traumatic, it's just humiliating. Back then, my brother Josh and I were completely hooked on Robin Hood, the outlaw from Sherwood Forest who robbed the rich to help the poor. But let's be real, we didn't admire him for his noble cause. We just thought his archery skills were badass. Our dad, a gardening enthusiast, had a stash of bamboo sticks next to the shed that he used to support plants. Josh came up with the idea to use one of those sticks and some string to build a bow. I thought he was a genius. Once we had the bow ready, we made a makeshift arrow by carving a shallow notch into a short piece of bamboo using a handsaw, just enough to rest it on the string. "I'm going first," Josh announced. "No way," I shouted. "My idea, my shot," he said. End of discussion. At the far end of the backyard, there was a small brick wall that outlined one of Dad's flower beds. We set an empty plastic bottle on top as a target. Josh got the first shot, missed by a mile. I took my turn and missed too. We spent about an hour taking turns until we each managed to knock the bottle down once. Then Josh had another brilliant idea. "Stand in the middle and I'll shoot over your head at the target." And like an idiot, I agreed. I figured if I did it, he'd have to let me try the same. I honestly don't think he meant to hurt me. It was just a stupid mistake. The arrow didn't sail past me like he intended. It slammed right into my left eye. I screamed in pain as blood streamed down my cheek. I was in the hospital for a few days before the doctors decided they had to remove what was left of my eye. Until I turned 12, I wore an eye patch, but when I started middle school, I got my first glass eye to stop the pirate jokes. It might sound strange, but I actually came to love my glass eyes. By the time I graduated high school at 16, I had a collection, each one with a unique color or design. Instead of hiding my missing eye, it became something of a trademark. Kids would whisper, "Did you see the guy with the swirl in his eye?" Or, "That kid with the cat eye?" I kind of loved it. It gave me power over my past instead of letting it define me. I kept collecting glass eyes well into adulthood, always hunting for unusual or custom ones. Then, at 25, I got curious about the dark web. A guy from my D&D group told me he'd bought some trippy drugs off it. I wasn't interested in the drugs. I just wanted to explore. Once I got on, I was both fascinated and disgusted. People were selling weapons, drugs, services, even other people. It made me feel sick just browsing it. Eventually, I stumbled onto a strange store called Mr. Bubble's Objects of Trouble. It was the first shop I'd seen with a search bar, so I typed in glass eye just for the hell of it. To my surprise, something popped up. It was listed as the site of sin, a solid black glass eye with a tiny red number 7 in the center. I don't know why, but I had to have it. I ordered it, fully expecting it to never arrive. A week later, the package showed up, like I always did with a new eye. I cleaned it in solution and added it to my collection. I didn't think about it again until the next morning, when I decided to try it on, just to see how it felt. It fit perfectly, so I kept it in for the day. At first, nothing strange happened. I had breakfast, worked on my laptop, just a regular morning. But then the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a guy in a suit pitching solar panels. But something was wrong. My vision had split. I saw two versions of him. In one, he was just a normal salesman. But in the other, he wore a full gimp suit, cracking a whip against the ground with this twisted look of pleasure. I didn't say a word. I just stared, stunned. After a few seconds, I shut the door and stood there, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. I chalked it up to fatigue and decided to take a nap. Later, my dad called to remind me about dinner at his place. I realized I was running late, so I grabbed my coat and headed out. It's only a 10-minute walk, and I passed just one person on the way, a woman walking her dog. But again, I saw double. One version was normal, a heavy-set lady in a pink coat, dog trotting along. But the other image showed her completely naked, eating canned dog food with a fork. Sloppy meat dripped down her chest as she licked it up with a wild look in her eyes. I nearly vomited. I wanted to turn back, but I didn't want to disappoint my dad. In hindsight, I wish I had. What happened next changed everything. When I was 2, my mom died, or more accurately, she was murdered walking home from work. It happened in our neighborhood, and no one was ever caught. But now, I know who did it. My dad opened the front door with a huge smile. "Come on in, Tyler." But I just stood there. Next to the version of him I've always known was another, a twisted version, standing over my mother's lifeless body, soaked in blood, holding a knife. I backed away slowly, then turned and ran all the way home. First thing I did was search for Mr. Bubble's store, but it was gone, wiped from the dark web like it had never existed. I locked myself inside for days, ignored the phone, ignored the door, just stared out the window, watching the people walk by. Eventually, I pieced it together, or at least came up with a theory. When I take out the eye, everything's normal. No more double vision. But when I wear it, I see 2 sides of every person. And I think one of them shows their sins. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Crazy. But the name of the eye, the sight of sin, the red number 7, the disturbing visions, I think they're tied to people's darkest secrets. The things they keep hidden from everyone else. Sure, I could take the eye out and go back to seeing the world like everyone else. But I can't. Not anymore. Without it, I feel blind. I can't trust what I see with just one version of people. But at the same time, knowing what hides behind their smiles, it's isolating. Because once you see what someone truly is, you never want to get close again.